Welcome to Chatting Around the Campfire. This is presented by Robotics. I'm Erica.
I'm Flynn, and today we're joined by Leyna, one of our two team captains. Last year we interviewed Andrew, and today we'll be getting to know her, and she will be discussing first. So let's get chatting.
So first, can you tell us how you got into robotics and how it all started?
Yeah, so my 7th grade year, my brother had joined Robotics for his first year, and he was signed up to go to a competition, and it was only in Milwaukee. So my family and I drove down to watch, and I was kind of mind blown of how exciting and enjoyable it was to watch. And from then on, I knew I wanted to be on the team as soon as possible. So when it came to my freshman year, I joined, and yeah.
You brought up the excitement of a competition. That's something that is very underrated. You wouldn't think a robotics competition is super exciting, but it really is. And our team shows that really well. We have a hype squad. We get really into it, and it's super fun.
Could you tell us about how your journey on the team was? You started as a regular member and then you moved up the rankings?
Yeah, so my freshman year, I joined the team and was on design, which I found out I wasn't very good at. So the next year, which was fully virtual because of COVID, I joined the business team. And then my junior year, I became the business team lead. And now I'm captain.
So it seems like you've had a lot of leadership within Red Raider Robotics. Could you tell us any big struggles that you had to get over?
Having teenagers listen to you and take you seriously. I think that's always a hard thing because you're not far apart. And
Yeah, it's always hard to manage your peers.
yes, because you have to balance friendship and leadership, which can sometimes
Conflict?
yeah.
There have been a lot of changes this year since you've been captain. Would you want to talk about some of the things that you're doing to improve the team?
So the last captains decided that they wanted to create project managers in the sub-teams itself to help manage different parts of the sub-team, because it's a lot for just one person to do and manage. And Brian. And it's shown to be very helpful so far this year, and so the team lead is able to focus on making sure everything's overall going well, and then the project managers handle one part of that sub-team and are able to make sure everyone's doing things correctly and work on that, and then they come together and make sure it all goes together, as well as project managers make sure to communicate with other sub-teams, which is very important.
It's really helped us bridge the gap between sub-teams and communication during the season, when it's really crucial that if we change a part in design and manufacturing doesn't know about it, one tiny change can mess up our whole robot.
Exactly.
Why don't you tell us about how the team started? How was the team created?
So the team started in 2016, and it was created by Megan Kennedy Pierce and Steve Keel, who are no longer a part of the team. And we started out the team with a very good group, which doesn't always happen being the first year. So
I think it was really lucky that we had a core group of students that were really motivated about starting a team and succeeding. We got a Rookie All-Star Award and went to Worlds our first year. So that also boosted our success and our engagement for the years to come.
And I think that there has been a lot of growth within the program. one thing I definitely realized this year is that there's a lot more mentors around, and it's really helpful because then, like, you know, it's not just one person talking about everything. We can go to whoever specializes in each thing. So I think that's really helped our team grow.
Yeah.
So how does our program bring STEM or STEAM education to students?
When we are, you know, trying to get people to join robotics, we always make it clear that you don't have to have any experience before joining the team. So it really helps people get experience in the different parts and not have to just stay in one specific area. So they can figure out what they really enjoy doing. And I know it's helped people realize what they don't want to do and some what they do want to do. My brother, he realized he likes to work with his hands and not really, you know, like in the mental area, more so.
Engineering design.
Yeah.
So why don't you give us an example of a project or a challenge that our team has gone through and how we've overcome it?
Well, our lead coach, Tim Pashy, he last year, about a year ago, he was diagnosed with cancer, and that was going into build season, so that was a big challenge on the captains, and they had to maneuver through not having a lead coach around and basically having to lead most of everything by themselves. And they did a fantastic job, so.
And that definitely brought us closer together as a team.
Yeah.
Overall.
So we had a fantastic year, so.
And for him to come back and see all the progress that we'd made, even without him, just really boosted his confidence in us, and that also brought us closer as a team, and it made our competitions way more successful.
Yeah.
So how do the teams compete against each other at a first robotics competition?
So how does the round look?
Sure.
Okay. Well, there's 3 teams on each alliance. There's the red team and the blue team. And there's these 3 stations where you set up your computers and then you set up your robot, and depending on the game, and I mean specifics of the game, the game changes every year, so usually there's autonomous, which is where your robot is programmed to do a task on its own, and then you go into the actual game where you're in control of your robot, trying to complete the tasks and win points, and then at the end of the game they add up all the points and then tell you who wins. So, and then you move on. I feel like that's, without there being a specific game, that's probably the best way to describe it.
And along with the points at the end of the game, can you explain ranking points a little bit?
Yeah, so ranking points are these specific goals met during your match. And those points are really important to your rank in the entire competition. So each ranking point gets you to a higher level, and then the higher level you are, you could be a alliance captain, which is huge, and which we'll go into later, the finals.
And I think a key role that the ranking points play is, even if you lose a match overall to points, you can still gain ranking points, which is a good way to learn that, oh, we might have failed in this round, but we still, we aren't all the way set to square zero. We still made progress throughout our game.
I think one really cool thing that I like about Red Raider Robotics and first competitions overall is that there's human players. Like, humans are interacting with robots. Do you want to explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, so this is another very much so game-based thing. So the human player is the one person allowed to kind of interact with the field and the robots specifically. So they could be placing balls down a ramp that the robot can collect. This year, they can drop cones and cubes down where the robot can grab it. But yeah.
I mean, one
And also
interesting thing from
throw.
last year is that you had to actually like
throw
the
the ball into the hub, which last year I was human player and I can't throw. So the couple times that I did throw did not go so well. So.
And I think because these games are designed by humans, you always get the little gems like that make the game even more fun every year.
So how does First Robotics different from other robotics programs or competitions?
Well, I think there's an obvious one. This isn't BattleBots.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep.
Which is a common question, which personally really grinds my gears.
We are much different goals and
Oh yeah, we're not
everything of
destroying
that.
robots. We like to keep our robots in one piece as much as possible.
I also think that because each alliance has 3 teams, we have cooperation, which is another key part of First Robotics, and gracious professionalism. You lose a match, but you still congratulate the other team, because another part about competitions is you have your bracket set up, and you might play against a team one match, the next match they'll be on your same alliance. So you have to learn to, even if they guarded you and they were really good at it, next match they'll be with you and they'll guard someone else. You can't get too mad at other people.
For just doing
And,
their
yeah.
thing. Yeah.
And yeah, it's a great thing is just before your matches, meeting with your alliance partners and creating a game plan, which is different every time. So.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's cool because since it's all like kid leaders and different things like that, it's like we really have to learn how to sit down and talk in a meeting and figure out strategies and stuff like that. And I think that's a cool aspect of it. So what do students gain from besides learning how to talk to people? What do students gain from participating in First Robotics?
Well, they can gain all sorts of knowledge from the different teams, learning things that you didn't know before, like with designing a robot, building a robot, the machinery, programming. It's also, you gain a lot of like relationships, and it's just a place where a lot of people that maybe don't fit into like sports per se can fit in with each other with this type of stuff. So.
But you bring up sports, like this isn't that much different than a sport. We meet after school, we meet on the weekends, we have competitions. It's a different type of sport, but in some ways it's still a sport.
It's a non-athletic sport.
So, First Robotics impacts the future of STEM and STEAM and the education that comes with it. Do you want to talk about your future careers and how that could impact other kids?
So, personally, I will not be going into a STEM career. And actually, robotics helped me learn that I did not want anything to do with design or manufacturing or programming, because that's just not my interest. Although I still love doing all of it, I just don't want to do it like
for the rest of your
Yeah.
life.
So, yeah, I know that's very unusual, but
What do you want to focus on? Did you get accepted to college?
I'm going to UWGB.
Yay!
I want to go for social work, so
social work, working
Yeah, I
with
mean,
other
working-
teams.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
working with
That's true.
others.
Working with others, yep.
Wow, First Robotics is teaching us everything we need to know.
And honestly, one day I hope to maybe be a part of First in some way or another.
Mhm. First alumni.
Yes.
And first alumni coming back to first programs, but also like major companies and also like any companies love to see first robotics on your resume because they know what it means. They know how much you gain from it.
I'd love to work at a competition.
So we also have different things, not just engineering-based things. Like I'm business team. I love doing social media, different things like that, marketing. Would you want to talk about how the groups, like I know our business team is doing the Impact Award, how that can be like engaged in our community and different parts of our school system? We have the Impact Award, which is obviously us going out and experiencing things with our communities and trying to get them involved. Do you want to talk a little bit about that in the
I
community?
feel like we're very involved in the community, and I feel like that improves every year. We do our Sheboygan Maker Fair, which we set up a booth for. We did the Milwaukee Maker Fair this year, which we also set up a booth for.
What?
Now,
Sorry to interject. What is Maker Faire?
oh, sorry. Maker Faire is when a bunch of like companies, people that make a bunch of cool things, and robotics teams ranging from FTC, FRC, FLO come and they can sell products, they can just show off things like robots, and they have fields set up there to use.
Yeah.
And you talked about the FRC, FLL, different leagues like that. Could you go more in depth into what each one is?
Can I finish with that?
Yes.
Yes, I'm sorry.
It's okay. 2 years in a row now, we have gone to the Sheboygan County Food Bank, and we have emptied lots of boxes and even upset them with how many boxes we've emptied.
We were working too fast.
Oh yeah. So, but also we help host some events like for FTC at one of our local middle schools, helping a local FTC team. So.
You said FTC. Would you like to expand on what FTC and FRC is?
FLO?
FL, yes, sorry, FL.
All right, I'll start with FTC. So FTC is First Tech Challenge, and that is a scaled down version of FRC. So we have helped 8 FTC or FLL teams. Well, we've helped a lot of teams that are not FRC in our community, and I know our local FTC team from Etude comes in with their robot, and we help them out.
And a lot of like our elementary schools have FLL teams, and our middle schools have FLL teams, and some of our middle schools also have FTC teams.
Yeah.
So first has the stepping stones. You start with FLL, and you can work your way up to FTC and FRC.
Which FLL is First Lego League, which is just kind of some really tiny Lego robots, and that age range goes from kindergarten to 5th grade. And then the FTC, that goes from 6th grade up until
You can go all the way up
senior
to 12th grade, yeah.
But FRC is specifically freshmen to seniors.
And with your robots scaling up, the field also scales up. So
Yes.
FLL, they play on like a tabletop kind of. FTC, you got a much bigger field on the ground.
but you're able to
Yeah.
fit it into a regular sized room.
Mhm.
Well, an FRC field, you would need to fit in a gym.
Yeah.
So,
And that's like different levels of competition. Do you want to go more in depth on what a competition consists of, like what your day looks like as?
so competition days are very long.
Very long.
But basically they consist of, getting up pretty early, heading to the stadium. You have your robot ready, you have your schedule, and you prepare for your first game. And everyone sitting in the stands, they do the introduction, and then they start the rounds, which take a very long time. They go into a second day, and so basically they do as many rounds up until lunchtime, and after lunchtime they come back and they do many more rounds, and then they stop at a reasonable hour, and then then it continues on to the next day, and it's the same thing except the second day there are finals and then awards.
And finals are different this year. I thought I heard on the intro video that there were double knockouts this year.
Yeah, so double elimination. So basically, the people who lose still have a chance, but they play against each other.
Mhm.
So, and then people in the final bracket, the winning alliance goes to Worlds.
You talked about 2 days.
Mhm.
On the night of the first day, we talked with Andrew a little bit about this. Captains get together and they go through all the scouting that people have done. Can you expand
Yeah.
on what stats you look at and how you create your list?
Yeah, so as alliance captains, you need to have your pick list ready. It's very important. So basically, that night you sit down for hours and look at each individual stat, like their average ranking points, what their auto looks like, so what their robot can do at the beginning, their average scoring number, and just their overall efficiency with endgame, all the things that rack up the most points. Usually you look at the top ranked teams, but you still have to look at every single
Yeah,
other
you need to
team.
have the depth to your list because teams, there's, 24 teams that are chosen? 8 alliances with 3 teams?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's 24 teams chosen, and the first alliance can pick the second alliance captain. So everything moves up pretty quickly. So you need the depth to your list. You can't just look at the top 5 teams that you want.
Because then you'll end up screwed. And
Yeah. Then you gotta make a last minute decision.
Yeah. Because even though there can be 50 teams or more in a competition, it's still.
Mhm.
And again, we talked about this with Andrew, but is there anything that anything that Red Raider Robotics does that we want to just make sure other teams know about us? Like, what is our thing?
Bananas?
Do you want to go in depth
Yeah,
on
go
that?
in depth on that.
Do you have any bananas in it?
We'll get some bananas.
We'll be right back with that.
Why don't you start?
How did bananas come about? I've heard a story.
So, one of the captains last year brought in a banana and started talking to it. And then bananas just started showing up, whether they were tiny 3D printed bananas or large 3D printed bananas and anything banana related. So now we have kind of created a label of we are the banana team. At competition last year we had banana horns on our helmets, and I know we were known as banana people.
And we're the Vikings, so we
That
have
is
like
two.
it makes sense.
Oh, that's two Toms.
It works.
So we are continuing the tradition and making everything banana.
Put them on our hats.
Yep. Yep.
Right, so little horns.
Banana
And this year we have different colors, right?
Yes, so the freshmen get green. From sophomore to senior year, they get yellow.
Oh my gosh. We don't have any bottoms in this one.
Sorry.
Yellow.
These are the ones I've showed John so far. And then the mentors get gold.
Yay.
They would have gotten brown, but
Moldy
our lead
bananas.
coach did not want brown.
We do not want moldy bananas.
So
I think it's great how you just took something so simple and like
Ran
made
with
ran with it.
and it is so like unique compared to other teams. So it really helps us stand out more. Especially last year on drive team had beards on our masks, and we had Zubas. Whew, interesting outfit, but it helped us be more known in the competition. So, and also when people ask to join their alliance, they make banana jokes. So.
And it's a great conversation starter.
It is. It is. Are you the banana team? Yes, we are.
Yep. So I know you started off on design and then went to business. Do you want to talk about how business and different teams get partnerships or sponsorships to support our movement in FIRST Robotics and our team as a whole?
Yeah, so, well, our current sponsors, a lot of them we've had since the beginning. And the way we do that is every year we reach back out to them, and whether we create a meeting with them to show them what we have been doing in our current robot and just update them. And so we keep consistent sponsors. And then new sponsors, they will either fill out a form to be a sponsor on our website, or we will reach out and ask if they are interested in us showcasing what we do to see if they are interested in sponsoring our team. So, and usually they're extremely impressed with what a bunch of teenagers can do.
Yeah.
And especially with
Pretty cool.
same robot that is just, it's impressive. So, yeah, our sponsors are pretty involved, and we reach out to them with updates and send them thank you cards. And
We couldn't do it without them.
no, we couldn't.
Do you have anything else to talk about? Huh. Is there anything else you would like to add to your involvement in FIRST or Red River Robotics as a whole?
It's an experience that I would redo over and over again.
And we thank you for all the hard work that you put in. I know team captains and team leads don't get enough recognition for that.
Being a team captain, I never understood how much of my life would be robotics. Like, compared to being a lead, I thought that was a lot. But being a team captain, you're doing everything behind the scenes, and your robotics is a full-time job with the amount of hours that Andrew and I put in.
But it's fun.
It is
so we
fun.
enjoy it. Yeah.
We love it. We spend so much time around each other that we are the same person. We always say we need to stop spending so much time together because we read each other's minds. So, yeah. But I love robotics so much. Something I never thought. I thought it was something that was just like, my brother does this, so obviously I have to do it too. Which is how it started. But I think you know a little, you two would know.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, thank you for coming on the podcast. We appreciate it. We like talking to different people.
See you next time.
Go bananas.
Go bananas.